And welcome back to Picks and Politics, everybody. So the majority of our focus remains on the upcoming November elections, but the 2026 midterms will be here before we know it, right? A critical point for both parties with a nearly evenly split House. This week, Congressman Jerrold Nadler announcing he will not run for re-election. The 78-year-old congressman serving since 1992. He is the highest-ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, which will leave that highly respected position open after the midterms. Nadler's district, redrawn in 2022, remember that? Covers both the west side and east side of Manhattan, and now that seat is really up for grabs. But prior to this big announcement, Nadler already had a challenger in 26-year-old Liam Elkind. The Upper West Side native and Rhodes Scholar co-founded a nonprofit to deliver necessities to at-risk people during COVID-19 pandemic. Now he has his eyes on Capitol Hill and bringing a new generation of leadership to Congress, and Liam Elkind is going on the record. Mr. Elkind, great to have you here for your first appearance.
This is super exciting. Thank you for having me.
So let me talk about this. When you announced your bid for Congress, you did call on Jerrold Nadler to resign and step down. Do you think that put some pressure on him to do so?
I mean, it was wild. Like, when we announced, I didn't know if this was going to go anywhere. My brother took my headshots. My girlfriend made my logo. I'm a 26-year-old guy with no health insurance who has never served in elected office. And I asked my long-serving congressman, who I grew up voting for, to consider building a bridge to that next generation. And in one day, our launch video was viewed more than 3 million times.
Yeah.
We outraised an incumbent's entire war chest in one day, not taking a dime of corporate PAC money. And he answered the call.
Did you ever speak to him about this?
I spoke to someone who worked for him, but never to him personally.
And what was that conversation?
I just expressed my respect for his career. And I said, I have a lot of respect for the congressman's service, and I'm doing this out of respect and wanting to carry his legacy forward.
So why did you, at this point in time, say at 26 years old, like you said, with no prior experience, say, this is my time to run for Congress?
Well, look where we are, right? Donald Trump is coming for vote by mail. He's coming for voting machines he doesn't like. He's trying to gerrymander Democrats out of existence. He's kidnapping children off of our streets. I predict that there will be federal troops on our streets in the next year. And I think that in an existential moment like this one, we need an energetic response. And that looks like rethinking the way that we've been approaching politics. I mean, my background is not in politics. My background is as an organizer, as a nonprofit leader, recruiting thousands of volunteers at the height of the pandemic to bring food to people in need. And for months, if you reached out to your government and asked for help getting food, they would say to call my personal phone number. And the idea to me that our social safety net would rest on one guy remembering to pick up his phone felt ludicrous. I'm not a Kennedy, I'm not a Clinton, I don't have a legacy last name, I'm not the heir to a political dynasty. I'm just a guy who is sick of watching Democrats bring a plastic spoon to a gunfight and not stand up to this reckless, lawless president. And I think we can do better.
So what do you think of the Democratic Party as it is right now, and what needs to change?
I think that we need to be better organized. I think we need to be more generationally relevant. I think we need to be more reform-friendly, and I think we need to be ready to fight.
So when you look at what's playing out right now in the New York City mayor's race, right, Zohran Mamdani getting a lot of attention. First off, do you endorse anybody in this race?
Yeah, I've endorsed Mamdani.
Mamdani. So when you look at it right now, and what they're saying about him, are saying he is inexperienced and he is not the right man for the job at this point in time. You are younger than Zohran Mamdani, so you know you're going to face that criticism, right? What do you say to that?
Yeah, look, it's a reasonable question. I think a lot of people would have said that a 20-year-old trying to start a nonprofit and organize thousands of volunteers would be a ludicrous task. But you know what? We were able to do it, and we were able to do it more efficiently and more effectively than the people who we continue to send into these positions of elected office. I think just having held elected office is no longer sufficient to claim that you deserve to continue to hold elected office. If experience in politics meant that you deserve to continue to be in politics, I would have grown up under the presidency of Hillary Clinton. But I didn't. I think it takes new leadership with new visions to bring us forward into the 21st century. And as a member of the generation who's inheriting the future that our current leaders are creating for us, what gives me a little bit of hope is that it's also my generation that's going to be deciding what that future looks like.
Yeah, and Jerrold Nadler, when he was in his statement, when he was saying I'm going to resign, was talking about ushering this new energy and this new blood into the party.
He was just a few years older than me when he was first elected, and he was still in law school. You know, and he has been a visionary leader for this community.
Yeah, but the point I wanted to make about that is, while there are ushering in the new energy and new blood, what does it say about the party when you have folks who still won't endorse the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York, high-ranking Democrats?
Yeah, I gave up trying to predict what the establishment does or why they do it a long time ago. But look, I think
it's the party you're part of. So it's the greater picture of what's wrong with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, look, I think that we we have a problem in this party where we cannot build a big tent that has a big vision and puts points on the board. Instead, we're so focused on a narrow vision that struggles to really accomplish anything or gain any political power to get the things done that we want to. And I've said, look, if you disagree with Mamdani, that's fine. I disagree with him on a lot of stuff too. And where I disagree with him, I'll say so publicly. Where I agree with him, I'll be delighted to work with him. That's the job.
Yeah. Where do you disagree with him?
For one, I think his refusal to condemn the phrase "globalize the Intifada," as a Jew, I find it befuddling at the very least. But look, the differences are not what we're focused on. We move together as one. We are one party, and we have to act like it.
So given what's kind of happening right now as a whole, right, and you're looking at what's going on in Washington, D.C. and federal dollars that may or may not come to New York City, right, as a member of Congress, how would you effectively fight against that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just Trump. Right? The MTA has 43% of mass public transit ridership in the country, and only gets 17% of federal funding for mass public transit. Imagine what we could do if we funded the MTA the way that we should.
How do you do it?
You fund it. You fight for it. And this is why we need democratic leadership to be actively fighting for the things that matter, not just in a kind of esoteric way, right, fighting for democracy. That matters too, obviously. But actually fighting for the things that impact people on the ground. As someone who rides the subway every day, it shouldn't feel like something that we have to... I remember I was at a mayoral forum, and they asked the candidates, do you ride the subway? And they all said, yes, of course I ride the subway. I'm a real gritty New Yorker. And I was sitting there thinking, you shouldn't have to be a real gritty New Yorker to ride the subway. It should just be the best way to get around. That we can have that if we fight for it.
Were you for congestion pricing?
I was for congestion pricing.
Yeah, you like the idea.
Yeah. I don't have a car. I just recently got my driver's license.
Yeah, and so now there's this whole idea also of the redrawing of the lines, right? And whether or not New York should do something much like Texas did. What do you think about it?
Absolutely.
Do it.
Absolutely. We're done showing up with it, like I said, with a plastic spoon at a gunfight. We're not fighting with one arm tied behind our back anymore. No way.
So what do you say then about if we didn't do it, then we should have done it now, and they're doing it now, so now we're going to do it, and do two wrongs make a right?
Don't get me wrong. This will cause immense damage. It will increase polarization. It will increase scleroticism of our system. It will be incredibly damaging, and it's the right thing to do. There are no more easy choices in this world. We have a president who's trying to kill this country, and we don't fight with one arm tied behind our back anymore.
Liam Elkind, it's a long way to the 2026 midterms. It's going to be a roller coaster of a ride, right, with who's going to be up against you. But I'm glad you were here for your first conversation.
Thanks very much.
Good to see you, okay?